Videos circulating online show the director of the FBI chugging a beer during a raucous celebration with Olympic men's hockey players after the team won a gold medal on Sunday. In the video, Kash Patel is shown splashing beer into the air, pounding on a table, and wearing a gold medal. This led to some criticism of the embattled director from former DOJ officials and Democrats in Congress. Sarakshi Rai, deputy managing editor here at The Hill, joins me to discuss. Hey, Sarakshi. So critics of Patel point to the timing of this celebration. Why?
That's right, Drew. This event, this gold medal match between Canada and the U.S. men's hockey team took place Sunday morning. Now, this was, around the same time that news was breaking in the United States that a man had been shot and killed trying to, enter Mar-a-Lago, the president's property in Palm Beach, and had a gun on him as well as some gasoline. And it's also coming at a time when Mexico was kind of burning. Americans are in danger. The U.S. And Mexican authorities had an operation to nab a famous cartel leader. And it's also coming at a time when the search for Nancy Guthrie is still continuing and entering week four almost of that hunt for her. So essentially, there was a lot of criticism that Kash Patel was, in fact, in Italy to go and celebrate with the men's team, and was seen in social media videos with alcohol and celebrating with them. But he did say he was in Italy for pre-planned meetings with Italian officials and private classified briefings. So that's just what we're hearing right now.
What is Patel saying specifically in response to this criticism over the video that came out of that locker room?
Patel is pushing back. He said, he was invited by the men's team to come and celebrate with him. He said that, they were newly minted gold medal winners and they invited him to come celebrate in the locker room. And it was a historic moment because it's also, the first time that the U.S. men's hockey team has won a gold medal match in about 3 decades. So really, really pushing back on criticism that he was celebrating with them. He was also seen, in that video, in separate videos on social media, calling President Trump, where the president invited the men's hockey team to the State of the Union address in Washington, D.C. as well. And the team, were all very, very pleased to get that invite from the president. So he was also facilitating that phone call with the president as well while he was in the locker room.
Having the president speak to athletes in that way seems like something I can recall and kind of a familiar thing. But to have the director of the FBI in the locker room kind of partying with the guys seems a little bit out of place. Do we know how Patel actually ended up in the locker room?
There have been some criticism from previous FBI, people as well, who basically said that, you're always representing the Bureau at all times. And so Patel being pictured spraying beer and celebrating with them, they say is a bad look for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But essentially, he's saying that he was just at the game. He was in Italy for pre-planned meetings and classified briefings with Italian law enforcement officials, and that he was invited to come by the team to come celebrate in the locker room with them after the game, and that's how he's saying he ended up there.
Patel apparently a big hockey fan, and I guess he plays hockey himself. I think some people would be wondering, though, is this the expenses involved in getting an FBI director overseas? I'm sure there's a lot of security involved with that. Are taxpayers actually backing this trip?
So, Drew, he was in Italy for official business. So the FBI says, they say that he was there for planned meetings. And so in part, the taxpayers do pay for any official travel that the director of FBI does take place, take part in. But essentially, if there's some private element involved to the trip, then, he reimburses the taxpayers. But so far, this is an official visit. So for all intents and purposes, taxpayers will be footing the bill for this.
Do we know the extent of the other meetings that Patel had and why he was actually in that part of the world?
So, U.S. law enforcement officials and authorities were helping keep the athletes safe at the Olympics. They also, there were huge protests in Italy after they found out that ICE would be on the ground there. That was then kind of pull back a bit. But he was already there for a classified meeting. Now we don't know what the nature of those briefings were, but he was there for meeting with Italian law enforcement and making sure that the officers in charge of the athletes were taking part in whatever assignments they needed to with the Italian authorities as well, Drew.
This isn't the first time that Patel's travel has been questioned. Can you talk about the other instances where his trips have been scrutinized?
Yeah, that's right, Drew. There has been some criticism over the use of the FBI jet to kind of go and visit his partner in certain cities. Now, he was asked about this in an interview with Fox News, and he said that, he is in a relationship with his girlfriend and he will travel to see her and he has a personal life as well. So that has kind of, come under criticism as well, his use of the jet for private travel. And that's why, this is another instance that is kind of making his critics a little bit louder, just because it seems to be, an ongoing thing that keeps cropping up in the public's eye, Drew.
All right, something we will continue to follow, but for now, we'll leave it at that. Sarakshi Rai, thank you so much.